Cam Hayward had a golf event on Monday. There they are. New friends, new teammates. They got together at UCLA back before Aaron Rodgers committed to the Steelers. DK Metcalf, Aaron Rodgers. They'll be on the field together today. Rodgers signing his contract, a one-year, $13.65 million deal with incentives of $5.85 million. Albert Breer of SI.com had the details yesterday. To get most of the incentives, they've got to win the Super Bowl. And Rodgers has to be the league MVP. $2 million is tied to that alone. No, $3 million of the $5.85 million is tied to that. Both winning the Super Bowl and being the league MVP for the 2025 season. Getting to the Super Bowl is another $1 million. So, look, if he makes the full $19.5 million, it will have been the best one-year free agent contract that any team has ever signed with a player, Devin.
There's no doubt about it. And what I love to see is there's been so much talk about this and him going to Pittsburgh. He's over there on a golf cart. He's with DK Metcalf. It's all smiles. He's at Cam Hayward's golf event, getting to know guys, and so much gets built up around this guy and what he's going to do and do people like him. At the end of the day, he's going to go play quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. For all we know, he could have already had the playbook. He could already had a conversation with Arthur Smith, and he could already know exactly what he wants to do in the offense. And they still have plenty of time throughout this mini camp, but also during the break to throw with receivers and get to know guys and go in and play. If he plays at a high level, like you just said, you get a chance to possibly compete for a Super Bowl. That's all anybody cares about. Like, I remember when Brady, now this is totally different. Brady was in New England and all of those. But when Brady started to not come to the offseason, there wasn't one player in the building that gave a damn if he was in the building for the offseason. They knew once the season started, he was going to be the guy to lead us, to do whatever he needed to do. Not saying Aaron Rodgers has that in Pittsburgh, but I think Pittsburgh has not had a guy that they love at quarterback since Roethlisberger has been gone. They are openly willing to accept anybody that can come and take that reign, even if it's just for a year, to feel good about what they have at quarterback. Russ gave some stability last year that I thought helped, but I think Rodgers is a guy that if he can play at a decent to good level for them, I think everyone's going to be ecstatic. And I think that starts now. That's not necessarily matters in April and May. Like it's about now going into training camp and then into the season. This is what matters.
A person who knows Rodgers but who didn't know specifically what was going on as it relates to his flirtation with the Steelers told me a couple of weeks ago that the assessment is Rodgers picked the lesser of two distractions. And when he talked to the Steelers, they had a consensus that it's better to not sign at all than to sign and not be there for phase one, phase two, and as it turned out, all of phase three of the offseason program, at least the voluntary phases. There for the mandatory minicamp, not there for anything else. If he had signed back in March when he visited the team, and I think that's when it became a matter of when, not if, and we reported it was a matter of when, not if, and others did too. It's not like this is Pulitzer-level stuff. But there were multiple indications this deal was in place. But with Rodgers, you never know what he's going to do until he does it. And now he's done it, and now the Steelers have their guy. And there is still going to be, and Devin, this is why I'm fascinated by what's going to happen when the media gets a chance to talk to him today. There are so many questions that could be asked. And fans of the Steelers, and I know this anecdotally, I know this from polls we've run on Twitter, there are fans of the Steelers that just don't like any of this because it feels beneath the Steelers to have been so overly patient with Rodgers. And putting that in context, because when it first went sideways with the Jets and Rodgers during the 2024 season, I said it makes sense for the Steelers and Rodgers to get together next year. But the way it happened, and Adam Schefter explained this late last week on NFL Live on ESPN, the Steelers initially wanted Matthew Stafford. Well, they never got anywhere, but that's who they wanted. Then they wanted to keep Justin Fields. Well, they lowballed him. It only took $20 million a year for the Jets to take Justin Fields away from the Steelers. So then after Stafford stayed with the Rams, Fields went to the Jets. They didn't want Russell Wilson. They didn't want him. they waited for Aaron Rodgers. The guy who was cut by the Jets, the Steelers waited and waited and waited. No other options, no other guys. This is our guy. And just the fact, as Cam Hayward said, you either want to be a Steeler or you don't. And then he tried to walk that back. But when he said it, that resonated with Steelers fans. And again, I don't know that the hubris is justified, given that they haven't won a Super Bowl since 2008 and haven't won a playoff game since 2016. But that's the attitude Steelers fans have. We're above begging a guy to come play for us. We're above waiting indefinitely for a guy to decide he wants to play for us. He either wants to play for us or he doesn't. So I think that is really where the source of that awkwardness is. And I hope that he at least gets some question about his thoughts on the idea that maybe the Steelers fans aren't ready to roll out the red carpet covered in terrible towels.
Yeah, I mean, every fan base wants to have that attitude and energy. But the truth of the matter is the Steelers, they can't. Like, you got to take what's there. You had to wait for Aaron Rodgers. And I know people are talking about Mason Rudolph's a good dude. He's a veteran and all that. Mason Rudolph was in Tennessee last year. We didn't speak a word about what Tennessee was doing last year because it didn't work out. It wasn't good. And now you get a quarterback, yes, in their division, you're still only going to have the third best quarterback in the division because of Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow. But it now gives you a chance to at least compete or feel like, hey, we're going to have a chance to possibly make the playoffs. So I get it. The history of the Pittsburgh Steelers is rich. 6 Super Bowls all time, a lot of winning season. Mike Tomlin, never a losing season. But at this stage, having an Aaron Rodgers in your building, I think gives them the best chance to go out there and win football games. There were no other options. If they were, then they would have pursued him. But right now, he's their best option. And I even think Cam Hayward, what he said is true. When you're a player, you definitely have an attitude of, we want guys that want to be here. Like, that's what we want. But now that this is all worked out, you don't care. Like, I don't think Cam Hayward knew that they had a conversation waiting. Like, he doesn't know all that. From what he hears is what we hear from when we're on the outside and we hear things, or what you write on your blog at PFT. Like, that's what players are reading. So they see all of these things and they're like, we want a guy that wants to be here. Like, they said he was here in March. Why isn't he signed? So I understand Cam Hayward's approach and understanding a few months ago why he felt like that. But I'm sure he's sitting there now, conversations he's having, defense, offense, they're going to talk about. He's going to sit here and say, hey, we haven't had a guy like this since Roethlisberger was in here. We feel damn good about having him in here. We get everything that happened on the Jets and all of that. We don't care. This is a Pittsburgh Steelers. When guys walk in our building, it's not the same as being in other buildings. They have that energy about them, and I think that's what they're going to think. I still think it's tough for them to go out there and say, hey, we're going to be better than the Baltimore Ravens when it's time to make or win the division. I think it's going to be hard. I think there's a shot that they are better than the Bengals. I don't know if the Bengals have addressed their defense enough. I've heard different people talk about Al Golden being there as a defensive coordinator already feels like it's a world of difference, but that has yet to be seen until you go out there and play a game.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.